loyal companions await. One place stands as their beacon of hope. The Pet Resource Center of Hillsborough County, where you can adopt your very own superhero. Adopt a dog. Find your sidekick and unlock the power of unconditional love. Suit up, show up, and adopt today. For more information, visit hcfl.gov/pets.
Good morning. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning. I want to welcome you to the July 28th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I'll be presiding as the hearing officer over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Colleen Marshall. She's with the Development Services Department. She'll introduce other staff that will participate in today's hearing, as well as go over any off the agenda changes. Ms. Marshall.
Good morning, Colleen Marshall, Development Services. To my left is Mary Dorman of the Hillsborough County Attorney's Office. Carmen Mason of Development Service staff is joining us virtually today, and Alexis Myers of Planning Commission staff will be presenting virtually as well. During the course of the hearing, a number of other staff planners will be presenting their findings for various cases and will be introduced for each item. do have one change to the published agenda. Agenda page 8, item I1, SU 24-1238. The applicant is requesting a continuance to the October 27th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing.
Okay, and is that a matter of right for their continuance?
No, they're here today.
All right, is the applicant here then? Good morning.
Good morning, hearing officer, staff. Todd Pressman, 200 Second Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. We received a late comments of concern from an abutting neighbor late last week, so we began to have some quick discussions, and we agreed to request to defer this application to the October hearing in order to address concerns and issues raised by the neighbor.
Okay. All right, let me just ask quickly if there's anyone in the room or online that would like to speak to the continuance of this application at special use SCH 24-1238. Only speak to the continuance, not the merits of the case. Yes, ma'am, if you'd like to come forward. While she's coming forward, is there anyone else that would like to speak to the continuance? Okay, if you could give us your name and address.
Shauna Lee Pusey, 5102 Bishop Road, Waimama. I am the neighbor, and I am here in support of the continuance so we can have further discussions.
Okay, and I appreciate you coming down. And it's my understanding, Ms. Marshall, that would be October 27th would be the date?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll grant the continuance of special use SCH 24-1238 to the October 27th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. Thank you so much. All right, Ms. Marshall, does that complete all the off-the-agenda changes?
Yes, thank you.
All right, then let me start by going over our hearing procedures for today's hearing. Our hearing consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a land use hearing officer. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a decision within 15 business days following today's hearing. Our hearing today is informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and I will decide all questions of procedure. I'll take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence must be presented in either written form, and all testimony must be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding by me unless it would be, unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation is as follows. We start with development services. The development service for variances, the development services department staff person will make an introductory report on their findings for a period of 5 minutes. Next, we'll go to the applicant. The applicant will have 15 minutes to make their presentation. Then we'll ask for anyone that would like to speak in support. Proponents have a total presentation time of 15 minutes. The same is true next when we go to opponents, anyone who would like to speak against an application. After that, we'll circle back to the Development Services Department to see if there are any changes or comments based on today's testimony. And then finally, we go back to the applicant who has the last word for 5 minutes for rebuttal. Now, that is the presentation you'll see on our agenda. We start with variances. That's the presentation order. The latter part of the agenda is special use applications. The only difference is who goes first. For special uses, the applicant goes first. In variances, the staff person goes first. Otherwise, it's all the same. All right, let me now ask, well, before we go to that, I don't think we'll have this issue today, but just in case for when we get to the part where we call for people who would like to speak in support or against an application, I'll ask you to raise your hand because we try to divide that 15 minutes as equally as we can. We have people in the room participating, and we also possibly have people that are virtually participating. So all total 15 minutes together, and then we equate that the best we can. When you come to speak, if you're in the room or online, if you could start by giving us your name and address. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure that we have everyone's information correct. If you're in the room and you're done with your presentation at the podium, then if you could see Jennifer, raise your hand, Jennifer, there she is. She's with the clerk's office. She is keeping a written log to make sure we also have your information correct. So sign in with your name, address, and the case number to which you spoke. All right, so now we're ready for Ms. Dorman. She's with the county attorney's office, and she will provide you the legal requirements for appealing a decision made by a land use hearing officer. Ms. Dorman.
Good morning. This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance and special use requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the land use hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed, and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision by the land use hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the land use hearing officer be appealed, the record evidence, including the testimony presented at this public hearing, shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Land Use Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision on petitions, the Land Use Appeals Board will only consider the decision of the land use hearing officer and the record evidence, including any evidence from this public hearing. If an appeal is filed, the Land Use Appeals Board hearing shall consist of oral argument by the party appealing the decision, county staff, and any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the land use hearing officer or to intervene in an appeal. 1, the applicant, or 2, anyone who appeared before the land use hearing officer, presented testimony or other evidence, and is adversely affected by the decision of the land use hearing officer. Let's see. It's the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the Land Use Appeals Board that was not presented to the land use hearing officer at today's hearing. The county attorney will recommend the Land Use Appeals Board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside the record made at today's public hearing. Any evidence presented to the Land Use Appeals Board that is outside the record created at today's hearing could jeopardize the legality of the Land Use Appeals Board's decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action, then, is for you to write down any comments you make today and repeat them to the Land Use Appeals Board.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath. So if you plan to speak today, if you could stand, raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you so much. Please have a seat. All right, then with that, Ms. Marshall, we're ready to call the first case.
Today's agenda, we have no vested rights, fee waivers, remands, reconsideration requests, or site development variance requests, which brings us to Section G, sign variance requests. Item G1, variance 250889. The applicant is Rob Johnson. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Sam Ball.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sam Ball with Hillsborough County Development Services. The applicant is requesting 2 variances to accommodate the alteration of a non-conforming sign located at the main entrance to Citrus Park Town Center. LDC 7030C2B1 and 2. For the maximum sign area, limits aggregate sign to 1 square foot per lineal foot of frontage where the sign is located up to 100 square feet, and no single sign face shall exceed 50 square feet. Additionally, if the premises is allowed more than 1 ground sign, then all allowable ground signs may be combined into a single ground sign of up to 200 square feet of aggregate sign area, and no face shall exceed 100 square feet. The applicant is requesting 467 square feet of additional aggregate sign area for an additional 233 square feet of additional sign area per face for a ground sign entrance type of sign, which would result in a pole sign with 596 square feet of aggregate sign area. The sign would also have 248 square feet of sign area per face, where the 50 square feet is the maximum on a property of more than 1 ground sign. Section 7030C1B for minimum setbacks requires that all pole signs shall be set back at least 10 feet from the right-of-way. The applicant is requesting a 10-foot reduction of the minimum setback, which would result in a pole sign of a 0 setback from Citrus Park Drive right-of-way line. The subject sign was of this variance was approved to have an additional 20 feet of height under variance 970358, which allowed the pole sign to have a maximum height of 50 square feet. That concludes my report. If you have any additional questions.
I do. Just the math of this, unless I'm reading this wrong, the math of it didn't add up to me. And so I just wanted to verify for the record, and we can ask the applicant to verify this as well if you'd like. But as I understand it, they were approved for previously 284 square feet per sign face, right? So that's 568 square feet each for a total, both sides. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then they're asking for 467 additional square feet? Is that correct? Of aggregate sign area?
So,
Is that correct?
it is. Actually, they would be asking for 496 additional square feet because they're limited to 100 square feet per face. So that is incorrect. So that should be 496.
496 is the additional.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So then what would be the total, just so, because it's 568 plus 496?
The final sign would have 596 square feet.
Okay, then, I guess then that's where I'm confused, because I thought they already had 568.
Right, whenever the master sign plan was in place, it was approved under that. And then once
Understood.
that was repealed, it became non-conforming.
So the math of it is going back to what would be allowed today, not what they already have?
Well, the math, so
I'm just trying to get to the total square footage they'd have if the variance were approved, just for the record.
okay, so if it's approved, they would have 596 square feet. Currently, they have 284 square feet per face, which would be
568.
568.
So the increase is the difference between 568 and what did you say?
96 would be 28 square feet.
596. So the variance is for,
The variance is for 496 square feet.
all right.
Because the sign would only be allowed 100 square feet per face if they were just completely replacing it.
Okay, I think what wasn't evident from reading this, and maybe this is my fault, is that the variance is based on what today's requirement is.
That is correct.
Okay, not what they already have. The
That is-
mitigating factor is obviously what they already have.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, so let me just make sure I have this. So 496 is correct, but the total would be 596. All right, based on that. And they do have 568. Okay, I think I got it.
All right.
All right, thank you so much. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You could give us your name and address to start.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Rob Johnson. I'm at 1190 Interstate Parkway, Augusta, Georgia, and I'm here on behalf of the owners of Citrus Park Town Center. And to clarify what you were saying, yes, it's for 596 square feet. So a little history. We acquired the property from a previous owner. We've been working to diligently improve and make changes. One of the things that we have left on our agenda is curb appeal, if you will. We've added a theater, we've added some internal stuff, and to basically institute our good stewardship program. The previous owner had let things start to fall apart, especially the signs. Obviously, they're faded, they're in need of repair and maintenance, and so part of this is to get the pylon sign, which is a very important part of the mall program for a regional enclosed shopping mall. They're at a disadvantage in that they don't have what is typical to a shopping center in a lot of signage on the face of the building that can be seen by the road. So the pylon sign and other signage is really important to the program. It's really important to any tenants that want to go there. It's the way they can advertise their goods to the passerbys to catch traffic and customers that they really don't have in an enclosed shopping mall. So we have gotten to the point in our program where we're working on the signage. We've worked on some paint and other things. However, based on how this sign was previously approved under the master sign plan, while it was approved, then that became null and void. And so as we understand it, we've got to come before you today to ask for a variance to allow the existing sign. Our plan is to reface the existing signage, which really doesn't get into a variance requirement. That's the tenant signage. And then for the topper panel, we're going to install new channel-lit letters rather than the vinyl that was there before. The vinyl is sort of a down market look, and I think it was there just so that no variance was needed on the pylon signage by the previous owners. So we're going to install channel-lit letter signage for both the NCG Cinema 20 as well as the Citrus Park Town Center, and that along with paint and other upgrades. And so we thought it would be, in speaking with Development Services, come before you today to ask for variance to allow the sign that exists today to remain in place to allow us to upgrade and do the things we need to do. The idea is that the 596 square feet would be the total. So from the 100 square foot allowed of today's sign ordinance, that would be an increase of 496 square feet. And then for the aggregate or the single face area, it would be a 250 minus 298, so 248 square foot single face sign area. In addition to that, we have the existing sign is installed right on the property line, while it's 60 foot back, actually 62 foot back from the existing curb line. It is right on the property line, just the way the property line is so far back along the right-of-way there. And so that's the reason for the variance portion related to the setback being 0. So our intention is to leave the existing sign, reface it, clean it up, and add new channel letters to the topper.
Understood. My only question to you was, is the sign existing? But you verified that for the record.
It is, yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Sure.
All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right. No one? Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, you have the last word, but you don't have to take it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0889 and go to the next case.
Next item is item G2, variance 250901. The applicant is Addie Mentry. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Michelle Montalbano.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to accommodate 2 existing ground signs being refreshed through structural upgrades. LDC section 70300C2C says ground signs shall be placed no closer than 150 feet apart of the same premises. The applicant is requesting a variance of 41 feet, resulting in a 109-foot distance separation between monument signs labeled H03 and H04 in the site plan. The 2 ground signs have 2 outstanding building permits. The permits were denied due to the distance separation issue. Also, there is another monument sign within that 150 feet buffer, but it is in the public right-of-way, so it is not applicable to the variance application. If you have any questions, let me know.
I do.
Okay.
First, it appears from my reading the backup that the applicant has asked for additional variances in addition to the 41-foot variance that results in the 109-foot setback.
I think there was a mix-up there was a request put in there that was for a different case that was heard last month, 250783. But the request put in there on 711 is the most updated one and the correct one, where they're just
the
asking
one request?
for the ground sign separation.
Okay, and then my last question is, the sign that's in the right-of-way, why are we not requiring them to remove that?
I guess it's not, I was told because it's not within their property boundaries, we can't regulate that. It is in the public right-of-way, not within their property.
And do we have any information as to how that got in the right-of-way?
No, we have no, I didn't see a permit for it, and I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine there would be, but unless it was
Yeah.
before that
It's-
right-of-way existed.
Yeah, it's been there about 20 years, but I'm not sure
Okay.
how it got there.
All right, thank you for that, I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, hearing officer. Thank you so much, Michelle. So I am here on behalf of the owner for the Highland Oaks Business Park.
Could you give us your name and
Oh,
address?
yes. Addie Mentry, 13266 Odessa, Florida, 33556.
Thank you so much.
So here's the vicinity map. So we're looking at the east part of the county. Here is the parcel map. So the ground signs that are going on the two buildings that are on the south portions, these are buildings 3 and 4, and they are divided by Park Oaks Boulevard. So our proposed variance request is for separation of 41 feet. These are approximately 109 feet apart. They are on separate tracks that are separated by Park Oaks Boulevard, but because they are on the same parcel, they require this variance. These are the proposed signs. We are actually installing these panels, the cabinets, onto an existing base. The existing base for 3 Highland Oaks has been there since 2009, and 4 Oaks has been there since 2010. 4 Oaks construction followed the 3 Oaks portion in the park. Here is a site plan of both of those buildings. You can see they're both located at the entrances, and they are 109 feet apart from Park Oaks Boulevard. Here is the existing signage. You can see both of them at the drives and separated by that street. And here are separate photos of each 3 Oaks on the left and 4 Oaks on the right. So you can see that they have the existing bases, and we would just be putting the cabinets, uninstalling those cabinets and putting cabinets back on the existing bases. So just going through the variance criteria, explaining how the alleged hardships are unique and singular. We believe these are unique and singular because buildings 3 and 4 are situated on different tracks, and they have different entrances. It's vital for wayfinding, for people to find the tenants that are in the separate buildings. The buildings don't have building signage other than 3 Oaks and 4 Oaks, which are over 100 feet from Park Oaks Boulevard. So there's no identification on the buildings for anybody to find other than those, which are kind of blocked by the current tree landscaping that's out front on Park Oaks Boulevard. And it's just important for public safety that people understand where they're located. The literal requirements of the LDC, they're rigid for this application. They are on separate tracks. They have separate entrances. There's not a median that splits them that we could put, say, a shared ground sign in that would indicate any sort of directional. It's just the road. If it would substantially interfere with rights of other properties, we believe other properties and other parks have wayfinding at their entrances. It pertains strictly to the distance, not the number, and doesn't increase the size or the setback. They're on existing signage that's already there. They have been there since 2016, so they're a little faded. The tenants have changed, so it's just kind of proper maintenance that we're looking for. We believe that the variance is in harmony with the LDC criteria and the general intent of what the comprehensive plan is trying to do. They accommodate functional needs for wayfinding and navigational clarity. And how the situation is sought to be relieved by the variance does not result in an illegal act. These are existing signs. I was able to find, as you can see, the existing signage. They're from 2016, those photos on Google, just for a historical point. I tried to look for the existing permits on optics, and I couldn't find them. Doesn't necessarily mean they exist. They could have been under a different folio, or because they're different tracks, a different address, but I couldn't locate them. And how it will result in substantial justice. They're for wayfinding purposes for the buildings. They're located at the drives. We believe they're in the appropriate locations for their, clarity of tenants and visitors and emergency services that would ever have to come to those buildings. I'm here to answer any questions.
Just to confirm for the record, those are existing signs and you're not relocating them, you're just changing the sign face?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please sign in. All right, Ms. Marshall, I just have one quick question I forgot to ask Ms. Montalbano.
Sure.
And that is, in the calculation of the separation between the two signs, does the right-of-way count?
It does. It's a little bit of a unique situation because the code requirement that separation on the same premises, typically that wouldn't be separated by a road, but in this case, it's all one folio number that does have the road that goes through it. And so that separation is the actual straight line distance between the two signs.
All right, thank you so much. Did you have anything you wanted to add before I move on?
Just the only other thing, just for clarification purposes, the sign that is in the right-of-way, it's actually not for either of for that premises at all. It's actually for a business that's down the road. Again, we're not sure how it got there originally, but it's not for the businesses that are on this premise.
Right, but just is it a safety concern that it's in the right-of-way? That perhaps not this applicant's responsibility, but the bigger picture to pursue action?
I'm not sure as far as the safety, if it would have any issues.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. We'll go back to the applicant who has time for
No,
rebuttal.
my defense rests for the variance. Just to clarify, it is for a JW Marriott,
Okay,
that sign, so.
all right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0901 and go to the next case.
Next item is item G3, variance 250912. The applicant is Burlington Stores Incorporated. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Michelle Montalbano.
Good morning, Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a sign variance to accommodate a proposed building sign per LDC section 70300A2A. The maximum building sign area for each premises shall be permitted to display building signs. The aggregate sign area which cannot exceed 1.25 feet per each linear foot of building frontage, but in no event more than 200 square feet of aggregate sign area. The subject building frontage of 115 feet is permitted a maximum sign aggregate area of 143.75 square feet. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a variance of 288.25 square feet, resulting in a wall sign with an aggregate sign area of 432 square feet on the southern building elevation. Staff findings, the building signs originally applied for under a building permit. In that building permit, they did reduce the size of those signs to meet the code, but if this variance is approved, they will replace those with these signs.
Understood, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Is the applicant here?
Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer. My name is Caitlin Forbes. I'm joining virtually today.
Good morning. If you could give us your address before you begin.
Of course, my address is 200 South Andrews Avenue in Fort Lauderdale.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Of course. And will I be able to present the PowerPoint on my side, or will someone from the county side be sharing that?
That I am not sure of. Give me 1 second. Oh, there it is. I see it.
There you go. I think that was Zach that jumped in. Thank you. And if it's okay, I'll just ask whoever's controlling it for the next slide whenever appropriate.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll say thank you in advance. All right, thanks, Zach. Okay, good morning, Madam Hearing Officer. Again, my name is Caitlin Forbes with Complete Cities Planning Group. We're happy to be representing Burlington and Blair Signs today on behalf of the variance 250912 request for its wall sign area variance. And next slide, please, Zach. We'll give you a brief introduction to our presentation today and then get into the meat and potatoes of our request here. So we'll start off by sharing our location and some of the existing conditions, go through our request, review the variance criteria, and then specifically spend some time on the context and considerations that are unique to our property. Next slide, please. Perfect, and one more, please. Thank you so much. So our subject site is at the northeast corner of the Dale Mabry Highway and Fletcher Avenue. You can see the general tenant location highlighted with the yellow star there and the property boundaries highlighted in red. And next slide, please. And here's a graphic example of the existing shopping center. Burlington, the proposed tenant and applicant for this request is a new anchor tenant to the Palms of Carrollwood Shopping Center. Again, you can see the approximate location there on the western side of the shopping center with some of the dimensions on the facades there. And next slide, please. And here's a street level view of the tenant location. The proposed Burlington store is going into the previous Bed Bath & Beyond tenant location. That tenant bay will be divided into two, so generally half of the former Bed Bath & Beyond tenant space will be now accommodating the Burlington store, and you can see that there in the red box. And the other anchor tenant in the center is the Fresh Market grocery store on the opposite side of the shopping center, also highlighted in the red box. And next slide, please. And here's a ground level view of that Fresh Market, the other anchor tenant in the center. Next slide, please. And as staff represented, Burlington does plan to install a temporary wall sign, although we're not taking advantage of any of the typical temporary sign allowances like a banner sign. Burlington prefers to install something even on a temporary basis that looks a little bit more polished. So we are going ahead and installing a code compliant wall sign just in the interim in hopes that our variance request is granted. So this is what the proposed interim wall sign would look like. That's code compliant. You can see it's a little undersized and not in proportion with the overall facade. So that's a portion of what we'll be talking about further later in the presentation. But just something to note that Burlington does like to go ahead and install, even on a temporary basis, something that looks a little bit more refined. So we are in for permits with a more typical looking wall sign than maybe what you would expect for a temporary sign. Next slide, please. So our request today is to deviate from the section that's shown on the screen here for the sign code requirement that allows for wall signage at a rate of 1.25 square feet per linear foot of building facade to accommodate a total of 432 square foot wall sign on our southern facade. At the rate that's provided for in the code, this would allow for 143.75 square feet. Next slide, please. So this is what the proposed wall sign would look like at the 432 square feet. You can see it's much more in keeping with the overall scale and character of the facade here. And we'll talk a little bit more about the details of the request and the measurements in the upcoming slides. So next slide, please. Here's how the county measures the sign area, just for reference, so you can get an idea of some of the, again, some of the talking points that we're going to go through. But this is the measurement basis showing the primary sign, the Burlington, and the tagline below. And of note, the primary sign being the Burlington does use primarily 44-inch letters. The logo B exceeds that, obviously, and then the tagline letters are closer to 23, 24 inches. Next slide, please. And one more slide. So we'll go through some of the criteria here. This is all in the agenda backup, so I'm just going to briefly touch on this to supplement some of the later slides. You saw it in our request and justification, each of the criteria in our justification. So as it relates to the first criterion relating to the hardships and difficulties that are unique to the subject property, we mainly highlight the circulation and access in the existing building configuration as a primary driver for our request for the larger wall sign here. The second criterion, discussing the literal requirements of the LDC, depriving you rights of of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district. Here we highlighted the visibility and the effectiveness of the signage, specifically as it relates to the existing monument signs that are obscured based on some of the required landscape buffers, and also the new tagline that's being incorporated into Burlington's corporate signage. It does play a big role in their new rebranding. And it's something that we feel is critical to incorporate in addition to the primary wall sign so that it gives a better sense of the brand offerings moving forward and how the brand is changing over time and evolving. So that does add to the sign area. Of course, the third sign criteria is how the variance will not interfere or injure the rights of others. There are no impacts on adjacent properties, especially given that the signs are not visible from any residential properties. Next slide, please. The fourth criterion, how it's in harmony and generally meets the intent of the Land Development Code and the comp plan. As we'll discuss, the overall sign balances both form and function, and the overall sign does meet industry standards in terms of recommended sign size to promote motorist safety through legibility. The second to last criterion is how the variance sought does not result from illegal acts or action of the applicant. Again, in our backup and justification statement, we highlight the existing site conditions that were pre-existing and are not altered by Burlington, and nor were they created by Burlington. And lastly, the last criterion is how it will result in justice being done, considering the benefits. Again, we highlight the legibility and motorist safety while promoting the aesthetics of the overall center as well as the individual tenant bay. And next slide, please. So to round out our presentation, we'll spend some time on the context and considerations that mainly drove our sign area variance request on the southern facade here. So just to set some framework, the existing Bed Bath & Beyond tenant bay that the Burlington store will be located in is approximately 360 feet away from the Fletcher Avenue right-of-way, and in between the tenant bay and the adjacent right-of-way is significant surface parking lot and landscaping, including perimeter buffering that's required, that starts to obscure some of the monument signage that otherwise would help quite a bit with the wayfinding and finding the new tenant and anchor tenant within the center. And we'll talk about that in the next slides here. Next slide, please. The next thing that we highlighted in our application was the existing driveway and access points to the site. And you can see here the circulation flow from the adjacent Fletcher Ave, which would be the primary access into the Palms of Carrollwood site. Next slide, please. And largely what drives the challenges as it relates to offsite circulation is the existing median patterns here. You can see through some of the arrows. You basically have to drive by the tenant bay because there's no curb cut or median cut into the westernmost driveway point to cut across Fletcher into the existing shopping center. So what you're doing is you're passing the Burlington store, the tenant, and making a U-turn back into the center if you're coming from Dale Mabry Highway. And if you're not, if you're coming straight from the east heading towards Dale Mabry, then you're passing the first driveway and heading towards the second driveway and then entering the site. So you have some U-turns that you have to make that add to some of the delay in being able to view the wall signs from the right-of-way because you're focusing on your off-site circulation back into the center. And of note, there are two monument signs on the ground. The easternmost monument sign does not incorporate the proposed tenant, while the one that we called out and labeled as the monument sign does. And we'll show you what those look like in the upcoming slides. So next slide, please. Here you can see from the ground those monument signs. You can see both of them are obscured. As I noted, the one that's in the foreground does not have our tenant, it would not have Burlington on that monument sign. The one in the rear that you can see is mostly obstructed is the one that would have our monument, or would have Burlington on that monument sign there. So overall, the existing landscape does obscure those monument signs, which makes the wall signs even more important in terms of visibility. We can go to the next slide, please. And here's a better view of those monument signs. Again, even as you get closer, those are obscured. So again, the wall signs being visible is even more important for this tenant, given the off-site circulation patterns and the fact that those monument signs are not very visible from the adjacent rights-of-way, given the pattern and the paths that you have to take to enter the site. So next slide, please. So as you're coming from the east, heading westbound on Fletcher Avenue, one of the other things that we highlighted in our application request is the view corridor and the timing. So the existing configuration of the shopping center is an L shape, and that existing L shape for the shopping center creates limited view corridors and limited view time for the wall signs. So the wall sign really only becomes visible as you clear that corner clip of the Fresh Market and the adjacent tenants there that are shown in the darker red. And then your view corridor, the amount of time that you have to view the wall sign, again, keeping in mind that the monument sign is generally obscured and not very visible, so it's not helping from a wayfinding perspective, is really that time that occurs that you're in the right of way from the end of the red line to the blue line, which is generally the distance of the corner of the shopping center to the driveway that you would have to make your maneuver. So if you go to the next slide. So the distance at 45 miles an hour on Fletcher Avenue, or the time rather that you would have to travel that distance is only 3.5 seconds, which is a rather short time when you're trying to identify a tenant and make sure that you're turning into the correct driveway before you miss the driveway, and then you have to make several other maneuvers out on 2 major roadways to turn back into the center. So the U.S. Sign Council does recommend closer to 6 seconds, so almost double that for a preferred view corridor time. And they also recommend approximately 80 to 85 inch letters based on the table that we included in the PowerPoint and some of the other tables that we included in our justification letter. As I noted earlier, we are proposing 44 inch letters with the exception of our logo B, which is closer to the suggested letter range here.
You have
Slide,
less than a minute left in your presentation time.
Perfect. So this is the approximate view from Fletcher Avenue. And next slide, please. So overall, the factors that are contributing to our inflated sign area include the fact that we use lowercase letters rather than all caps, which artificially inflates the sign area because we have to incorporate significant amounts of white area into our sign calculation. And of course, the tagline, which I noted was critical for the rebranding and clarifying the new brand offerings moving forward. So next slide, please. So in sum, our request for our anchor tenant, Burlington, in the Palms of Carrollwood Shopping Center, the primary factors, of course, include the existing site conditions, the setbacks and building configurations, the fact that the monument sign is obstructed by the landscape and the locations. We talked about the off-site circulation and challenges there with the limited view corridors, the fact that the tagline does add to the sign area, but it is critical in our rebranding, and the fact that the lowercase letters are both aesthetically pleasing, but unfortunately, it does add to our sign area calculation. So overall, the sign does balance form and function as required by the comp plan and code. And in sum, our request is for an increased wall sign as presented.
All right,
thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, I appreciate that. You have thoroughly explained the request and the assertions to the variance criteria. I just had one question that came to mind. The graphic you showed that, the photo you showed that illustrated that the Burlington will be taking half of the Bed Bath & Beyond space and more in the other direction. It showed the Bed Bath & Beyond sign, and I wondered if you had any information as to the size of those letters, so for comparison, as to the increase or decrease that you're asking for.
We do not have the permit information for the existing Bed Bath & Beyond tenant, although it does look somewhat comparable when you look at the graphic that the team put together for what the proposed Burlington store would have, but we do not have the exact letter size for those.
All right, that was my only question. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, we'll
Thank you.
ask at this time for anyone who would like to speak in support. Anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? All right. Doesn't look like we have anybody. Anyone in opposition to this request? All right, seeing no one. County staff, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, we'll go back to the applicant. You have the last word if you'd like it.
Nothing further. Thank you so much for your
All
time.
right, thank you. I appreciate it. With that, then we'll close variance 25-0912 and go to the next case.
Next case, item G4, variance 250915. The applicant is Wawa Florida LLC. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Sam Ball.
Morning.
Development Services. The applicant is requesting two variances to accommodate the construction of two ground signs. LDC 7030C2B1 for maximum sign area limits aggregate sign area to 100 square feet, and no sign face shall exceed 50 square feet. The applicant is requesting 140 square feet of additional aggregate monument sign area and an additional 70 square feet of sign area per face, which would result in a monument sign with 240 square feet of aggregate sign area, where 100 square feet is the maximum for a ground sign facing US 301 right-of-way. LDC 7030C1C for monument sign setbacks requires a minimum setback of 15 feet from the right-of-way plus an additional foot of setback for each foot in height in excess of 4 feet. For sign A, along 301, the applicant is requesting a 21-foot setback reduction for a monument sign that would result in a 20-foot tall monument sign with a 10-foot front setback from 301, where 31 feet would be required. For sign B along Paseo Al Mar, the applicant is requesting a 12-foot setback reduction for a monument sign, which would result in 11-foot tall monument sign with a 10-foot front setback, where the 22 feet would be required. I'd also like to add that parcels 1, 2, and 3 are being developed as a unified development, which allows for the tenant panel, the tenant signs for parcels 2 and 3 to be placed on parcel 1, and that condition 22 of the plan development prohibits pole signs. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. No questions. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Alvin Ramos. I'm here on behalf of Thomas Sign and Awning concerning this variance 25-0915. Today we are applying for this variance in regards to setback and location for these two particular signs. As mentioned before, this is a unified development plan with the consideration that this is part of the Belmont community development, and which restricts us to no pole signs allowed. So in order for us to accommodate the design requirements for this signage, we have proposed a 20-foot sign here off of US Highway 301 in order to accommodate the two additional tenants to the west, and those tenants being located off of Paseo Al Mar Boulevard. On Paseo Al Mar Boulevard, we also are requesting a variance for setback due to limitations of already existing infrastructure. Our signage at this point, in order for us to accommodate, would put us back at a 22-foot setback, which with the current layout of the development would make it very difficult for this signage to be visible. We have proposed a 50 square foot sign for this location that does not exceed the 100-foot maximum for aggregate for that signage. And we believe that the setback for that particular sign would benefit the overall aesthetic of this development. All of these signs, the way they are proposed, do match the existing signage in the Belmont community, and we are looking to comply with that to add the aesthetic required for this development. The sign in particular off of US Highway 301, like I had mentioned before, we are trying to accommodate to limit the amount of signage as not to overwhelm the location. So we are asking for an increase in copy in order to, again, accommodate those tenants and also provide adequate signage for our tenant Wawa that is going into this corner location. We are asking for an increase in copy in order to accommodate for the miles per hour off of 301 in order to provide a safe and adequate visibility for tenants to be able to access this development. The setback for that particular sign is also limited by the existing infrastructure that is built around this development. We are having to deal with an FDOT easement access in order for them to provide adequate access into this location for also the tenants and also to be able to accommodate for that easement. Just to the north of our development, we do have an existing open space. So in order for us to accommodate that, we have decided that this location would be the best location for this signage and also to allow for visibility again for ease and access into this development. We believe that all of our signage is well within the Belmont community design criteria, and we feel that this would be the most adequate way to be able to present signage that would help in the design of this particular parcel.
Okay. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I didn't have any questions, but I appreciate your time. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. All right. Let's call for anyone that would like to speak in support, either in the room or online. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I believe we did not do opponents and proponents for the last item.
Is that right?
G2, we were just notified.
G2, so 2 items ago.
Oh, my apologies. Thankfully, Colleen is on top of things.
All right. Well,
was really
let's complete this and then we'll go through that. All right. So we did call for proponents and opponents in this one. All right. Do you have any?
Nothing further for this one.
Okay. The applicant, we'll go back to you. Do you have anything you want to add before we close? No. Okay. Thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0915. And so this was case 25-0901. You're saying I skipped over?
Yes.
Okay. So let's reopen that. Is the applicant even still here? I don't think so. So, Ms. Dorman, is that appropriate to reopen it without the applicant being here?
I don't know the answer to that, Madam Hearing Officer, but I will find out.
All right. A gentleman has just left the room. Okay, so let's just hold that issue, and we'll come back to that before the end of the, before we conclude today's agenda, and we'll go back. All right, so then to keep this moving, let's call the next case in order.
This brings us to Section H, variance request. Item H1, variance 25-0800. The applicant is Mohammed Abukir. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Tanya Chapella.
Good morning.
Good morning. So the applicant is requesting a rear yard setback variance to accommodate an enclosed porch on the subject property. So the requirement is 20-foot rear yard setback for that PD. The variance is 15 feet, and the result is 5-foot rear yard setback, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Mohammed Abukir, 10711 Cape Hatteras Drive, Tampa 33615.
You just tell us about the request.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm requesting a 15-foot variance to replace a patio, an existing patio, with a pergola to accommodate a pool and other features that my surrounding neighbors have. It also works as a barrier and safety for my kids. I have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we're on the marina, which just, it's a dock that, it's just a dock that is in the way. So just for them not to trip into the pond, or so I put an enclosed, I would like to request this variance to install that enclosed portion of the home in the back.
The existing patio you mentioned, it has a paved
It has
floor.
paved, yes.
It's just not enclosed.
It's just not enclosed. It's
And
a
what-
typical,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's
That's
a
okay, go
typical pool enclosure.
Oh, I see. Okay, so, and then this pergola will be fully enclosed.
It will be fully enclosed.
Understood. All right, that was my only question. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Fully enclosed meaning there are windows on the
Understood.
exterior
Understood.
which retract. So it's fully enclosed. It has electric retractable windows that go up and down. That when they're down, it's like just a balcony.
I see.
So that's what the request for the variance is.
Okay, I think I understand. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If you
No
could
problem.
please sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right, no one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it. Okay, then with that, we'll close variance 25-0800 and go to the next case.
Madam Hearing Officer, I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I do believe that you should call for the opponents or proponents for the item that was missed, even though the applicant is not here.
So we can proceed with that, with reopening the case, even though the applicant is not
That
here?
is my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, then let's do that. Let's reopen, let me go back to that. We'll reopen agenda item G2, which is variance 25-0901, to call for, solely for the purpose of asking if there is anyone in the room that would like to speak in support. Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, anything else we'd like to add before we close that case? All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0901. And if you could notify the applicant that that occurred and what the results were, just so that the record is clear. All right, we'll go back to the next case.
Next item is item H2, variance 250860. The applicant is Philip Bresnan. The request is variances to lot development standards, accessory dwelling requirements, accessory structure requirements, and fence requirements. Staff findings will be presented by James Baker.
Good morning.
Good morning. James Baker, Development Services. The applicant is requesting variances to accessory dwelling setbacks, accessory structure setbacks for numerous carport structures, primary structure setbacks, and fence height in the front yard located at 2020 Lee Drive in Valrico.
All right.
That's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Philip Bresnahan. I live at 2020 Lee Drive, Valrico, Florida. That's my home with my wife. Never done this before, so I wrote everything down. And I have a
Always
copy
works
that I
better.
would also like to submit for the record so you can have it, because there have been some minor changes, I think, because I didn't understand some of the stuff originally.
Okay. Yeah, when you're done, you could submit everything you'd like into the record.
Okay, thank you. The variance request is for an after-the-fact permit, which I need to get to make everything right with the county. The permit is for 3 carports and a shed that was installed on my property by outside contractors over a period of years without a permit being pulled. Because of my ignorance in reference to the permitting requirements of these projects, I am here to try to make everything right. I hired a contractor and an architect to draw up plans for the after the fact permit, and which I submitted to the county, along with a completed survey of my property, which was the county requested. I am here to answer any questions that you may have in order to this variance, so that I may complete the required permitting needed to make everything right with the county for our home and property, in which we have lived for over 23 years. So again, I am here to answer any questions. Do you want me to go over each one? Because there was like 7 different things they were asking for.
It is an extensive list. I have read your application and all of your responses to the variance criteria. You're welcome to testify regarding whatever you'd like, but I have read your complete application.
Okay. The number 1 is the first one. The first one they asked me for. On the first variance criteria response, I'd like to explain the situation if I could. When I brought my property 23 years ago, and I called the county about putting up a fence, I was told that the fence could be within inches of the property line, and I did not need a permit as long as it was under 6 feet in height. So that's what I was told when I put it up 22 years ago. I also, in 2005, I pulled a permit for a building in the back of my property, which was completed in December 2005, and I have a certificate of occupancy for this building. This building was approved at the time to be a 3.5-foot setback from the north property line. So when I had the little shed built behind this building, it was the same distance to the property line, which is actually 3.7 feet, not knowing the codes had changed. And it was 1.7 feet from my rear property line. Because of my ignorance about the setback codes, I did not know that this would be an issue, since many of my neighbors' sheds are right up against their fence and property line. So in this instance, I'm asking for a variance setback of 3.7 feet on the north side to match my existing building, and 1.6 on the west side, which is actually the rear of my backyard. Everything else I've got here in writing, so I can leave you, or do you want me to go ahead and explain the other ones?
Well, that leads me to ask to clarify. You said that you wanted to clarify some things and submit into the record because some of the measurements are different than what is in the staff report. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's on that one or some of the other ones, but it's probably within inches.
All right. Well, let's back up for a minute just so I get the big picture.
Okay.
So you bought the property in what year?
It was 2002.
Okay, 2002. And what was there when you bought the property?
Just a single-family home.
That was it? No accessory structures, no sheds?
No, ma'am, nothing.
Nothing. Okay, only. All right. And what did you install yourself, and what did you hire someone to install?
Okay, in 2005, I had a building erected in the back that ended up being permitted for a mother-in-law suite. And
That's the accessory dwelling unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you
And
pulled a
that one, I've
permit
got
for
the
that.
certificate of occupancy with me. If you want me to leave you a copy, I can.
You can submit it into the record. That would be helpful, sure.
Okay,
All right.
and the shed I built in back of it is the same distance for the variance that I'm asking for that.
Okay, but that you did not pull a permit for?
No,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? Okay. So can I just jump to the end, which would be, the house was there, you pulled a permit for the accessory dwelling unit, and then everything else after that, there's no permit for, but perhaps you hired a contractor or something to install?
Yes, for a couple carports. I have an old travel trailer that we used to go camping in a lot, which is now basically my man cave. I had a carport over to help protect it from the weather. And I also have a carport in the front of my house for my 2 cars, because we have a lot of oak trees on the property, and just to try to protect the vehicles from that. I'm trying to think. The fence, one of them talked about my fence, which has been there 22 years. Let me see. I think that was number 2.
Yeah, there's a fence in the front yard, and so it's 6 feet rather than what is permitted, which is 4.
Right, let me make sure I got the right one. Yeah, it's number 3. It says, my fence has been there over 22 years and runs along Lee Drive, which is my side yard, even though they're also calling it the front yard. and is 9 foot 6 inches from Lee Drive, which leaves plenty of room for people to pull off the road. Lee Drive is just a small paved dead-end road, and I need a variance of 2.8 to keep my fence where it has been for 22 years and not to disturb my Eureka palms, because we put a lot of palm trees on the opposite side of the fence in our yard. And the fence on the west side, which is my backyard, goes from 3'8" to 1.6. So I'm asking for a variance of 1.6 from my backyard property line for my fence not to make everything good with the county. Because like I said, I'm trying to get an after the fact permit for these things. Any questions on that?
Yes, let me just stop right here. So let's go to how this all came to light. You have a code enforcement citation, I understand?
Yes, I have a code
How did
enforcement.
this all start?
Somebody called code enforcement on me, and he come out and saw some things that didn't look right, so they told me that I had to pull a permit for it, and I had to get a survey. All of this took a lot of time, cost me over $10,000, and I didn't know at the time that these things were in error, so I'm just trying to correct everything the best way I can.
All right, and what's the latest of all of these accessory structures? What's the most recent one that was constructed? How long ago? Approximately.
Probably maybe 7-8 months ago. It was the one for my little trailer in the back.
Okay, now from the audience, please. All right, so I did see one letter in the file from a neighbor basically asking for more information. So we'll pick that up when I call for those in support or against an application.
Okay, I got a call from that neighbor too. I think she thought because of the way the letter that went out, it talked about being alcohol, she thought I was opening up a bar in my property.
Well, for the record, you're not doing that, is that correct?
Yes, definitely not
Okay.
doing that.
All right. Now, the last part that concerns me is that you have cited measurements for these variances that are different than what is in the staff report. So what I want to confirm is that you agree with the staff in terms of what you're asking for. So I'm going to go unless you have anything else you'd like to explain, what I'd like to do is have the staff confirm with you, because there are so many requests here.
Okay, I
that
understand.
the exact measurements that you're asking for is what they understand the variances to be.
That would be great.
Because you don't want to get this all said and done, and then you have the wrong amounts approved.
No, I agree. And I also have letters from all 3 neighbors, the one behind me, one on each side, saying that, we look out for each other's property, and they're in agreement with all the variances that I'm trying to get.
All right. So I think the best way, Ms. Marshall, I think the best way probably to handle this would be perhaps to take a 5-minute break and have you or Mr. Baker perhaps get with this gentleman and confirm that all of these amounts for the variances and the resulting amount everybody's on the same page.
That's perfect.
To make sure before we proceed any further. And then when we come back, we'll ask for those folks in opposition or in favor and opposition. We'll resume the hearing at that point. So let's just do this. It's 10:10. It was 5 minutes, you think? Can we handle that? All right. So let's take a break at 10:10 and be back at 10:15, and we'll resume your case.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. resume the hearing. When we last left, we were in the middle of variance 25-0860 to clarify the request by the applicant with county staff. So, sir, we have, if you could give us your name just to start, and then.
Yes, Philip Bresnahan. I live at 2020 Lee Drive, Valrico, Florida.
Thank you so much. And so you have, in that break, you have confirmed your request with the county staff, and everybody is on the same page.
They have everything perfectly.
Perfect. All right. Is there anything, I didn't have any further questions at this moment. Is there anything you want to add before I move on with the hearing?
No, I would just like to, like I said, submit the three letters from my three neighbors.
Okay. You can submit that to Jennifer, and when you sign in, and then we'll go on from there. But whatever you'd like to submit into the record, you're welcome to.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. At this time, we'll call for anyone who would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor of this request? All right. Seeing no one, is there anyone in opposition to this request? Seeing no one. All right. Ms. Marshall, anything to add?
Nothing further.
All right. Will there be a revised report that'll be done? Are there any substantive changes to this, the report that I have in terms of measurement?
No, so all of the numbers that are in the report are the correct numbers.
Okay.
Some of the confusion with the request is some of it was describing the measurement of the variance, like a variance of 6 feet, which then ended up resulting in, say, 1.5 feet.
Understood.
But all of the numbers that are in the staff report are the correct numbers.
Okay, that is good news. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. All right, so then with that, sir, you have the last word if you would like it. All right, thank you for your time. All right, we'll close then variance 25-0860 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H3, variance 250906. The applicant is Jared Macaron. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Jared Fallon.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a request to vary from a side yard setback requirement for an existing home. The property in question is located at 11408 Memorial Highway. The property is zoned ASC 1, but due to a non-conforming lot determination, they follow the RSC 4 setbacks requirement, which is 7.5 foot. The existing home is 2.5 feet away from the side yard, and so they're asking for a 5-foot variance. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Jared Macaron, 11408 Memorial Highway, Tampa, Florida, 33635.
All right. You just tell us a little bit about your request.
Yes, I'm just requesting a variance for the setback on my existing property. It was before I purchased the property existing. I did reduce it from the 2.5 to 3.5 feet, which code enforcement that came out with the complaint said it was supposed to be. I've been trying to get the permits from the county, and they said that I need to go to get the zoning variance from 7.5 feet to 3.5. So trying to get that to be in compliance, and so I could be able to get the permits for the existing structure.
Okay. Just a quick question, just to confirm. You said 3.5 feet, but the staff report says 2.5 feet. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's what it was originally at, but when the code enforcement came out, I reduced it a foot back to 3.5, but now it's showing that it should be at 7.5, so I'm just trying to get approval for that variance.
Okay,
setback.
so that would be a 4-foot variance for the request.
Correct.
All right, I'll just confirm that with county staff in a second. And the home was there when you bought the property, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and this encroachment into the setback, it was there when you bought it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you so much. Don't forget
Thank
to
you.
sign in. All right, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, Ms. Marshall, just want to clarify that change the gentleman just testified to. He's saying now it's a 4-foot variance with a 3.5-foot resulting side yard setback. Is that, gel with your information.
Yeah, I'm just going to double check the survey.
Okay, thank you so much.
So this survey shows a 2.5 foot separation between the house and the property line.
Okay.
They could change their request, but it wouldn't end up fixing the issue.
So, sir, if you could come back on the record, just give us your name real quick.
Jared Macaron.
Okay. So what she's saying is your survey shows that that setback is 2.5 feet.
Okay.
So, and that's what the request has been.
Okay.
You may have talked to code enforcement, but we want to make sure you have this correct so that you can proceed with your life. So, is it amenable to you to accept what is documented on that survey?
Absolutely.
That shows that it's a 5-foot variance and a 2.5 foot
Yes, ma'am.
resulting setback? Okay. Mr. Fallon, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I have survey.
That's it? Okay. All right. So if that's confirmed with you, then that's what we'll proceed on
Okay.
based on that. All right. Thank you.
so
I
much.
appreciate it. All right. Now, did I call for someone? Now you have me questioning. Did I do that? Okay. Thank you. All right. So we've talked to you, Ms. Marshall, and then we're back to applicant rebuttal, right? Jennifer, keep us on track. Okay. All right. Then, sir, you don't have anything else you want to add before I close? It appears not. All right. Then with that, you're good? Okay, all right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0906 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H4, variance 250910. The applicant is Raymond W. Flanagan. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Logan McCaig.
Morning.
Morning, Logan McCaig, Development Services for variance 250910. The applicant is requesting a variance to the required front yard setbacks for the purpose of permitting a primary structure on the property. The zoning of AS1 requires a minimum of 50-foot front yard setback. The applicant is seeking a 1.9-foot variance, resulting in a 48.1-foot front yard setback. Available for any other questions?
No questions. Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Jamie Mayer of the law firm Hillward Henderson, representing the applicant, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, and I have been sworn.
Okay.
I have a brief PowerPoint. This is a pretty straightforward request, I believe, but I will go ahead and just give a presentation so you can visualize it. This is a request, as staff explained, to reduce the front yard setback in the AS1 zoning district from 50 feet to 48.1 feet, which is a difference of 1.9 feet, and it's to accommodate the corner of a new single-family structure. You can see that there are a lot of wetlands on this property, and I want to make clear that this is not a request of any kind to reduce the wetland setback. Rather, it is the wetland and the setback that surrounds it that dictates the remaining buildable area of this lot. So after you factor out the wetland and its setback, you've got a viable area in the front of about 100 feet in width. 50 feet of that is the AS1 zoning district front yard setback. So you go from what is an oversized lot in the AS1 zoning district to a buildable area that is less than the standard AS1 zoning district lot dimensions. And you can see the unique geometry of the wetland setback dictates that you have to angle any structure that's going to be built here very specifically. Another wrinkle is the fact that the boundary line, so that the east boundary line, which is the front yard, is actually angled. It's slight, but as you travel southward, it actually makes a big difference. And so this is what we're working with here. It kind of creates a funnel where the narrowest point between the wetland setback and the front boundary line is less than 100 feet. And this is what requires minor relief in order to construct a reasonable sized home on the property. So I'll just go through the variance criteria. This is a unique and singular property. You've got a lot with wetlands that take up a significant portion of it, with the wetland setback area that goes around those wetlands. The resulting buildable area, as I said, is dictated by that, and they have the further impact of the inward angle of the boundary line. The standard AS1 zoning district footprint does not exist here. They also don't get the benefit of AS1 having 15-foot side yards, which usually provide wiggle room for the width of the house. But here they're pressed up against the front yard. They don't have the benefit of the actual footprint that AS1 would typically allow. And the surrounding homes in the area are 40, 50, 60 feet in width. So what they're requesting here is by no means out of character with what others in the immediate area and the zoning district do enjoy. And the resulting encroachment is minimal. It's less than 5% of what's required, and it's only limited to the nearest corners, and it becomes a lessened degree of encroachment as you travel northward to the farthest corner. This request is in harmony with the Land Development Code and the Comprehensive Plan. Again, the wetland setback is maintained, and a 48.1-foot setback where 50 is required at the narrowest point is an effective setback. It does, taken as a whole, meet the intent of an adequate setback. The applicant did not create the site conditions. They did not create the wetland. They are observing and preserving it. The angled lot line is no fault of the applicant, nor did they zone the property AS1. And we do find on balance that this is justified, considering again that the setback that is fully observed is the wetland setback. The degree to which the front setback is encroached upon is minimal. They're able to build a house of an appropriate size and character in the zoning district, and they're working with a limited buildable area with some pretty unique constraints. With that, I do respectfully request your approval, and we're here for questions. Thank you.
No questions at this time. Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, Ms. Marshall?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Meyer, anything else? All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0910 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H5, variance 250917. The applicant is Roger Abreu. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Tim Lampkin.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tim Lampkin, Development Services. I put a picture on the Elmo just to orientate us due to the unique front yard setback configuration. So the applicant's requesting a variance to reduce the front yard setback to accommodate a proposed new single-family home. A minimum 25-foot yard setback is required in the RSC zoning district. They're requesting a reduction of 13.7 feet for an 11.3-foot front yard setback. And you'll notice here, so I'm just going to give a really brief history. It is in the staff report, but in December 2024, the applicant submitted site plans to Development Services, and upon review, it was determined that the applicant needed a variance. So there was a variance approved in 2006. It was VAR 06-1990. It established the front yard area as the area in yellow here. The applicant proposes where the applicant's going to encroach is this blue area right here. And
Mr. Lampkin, can I interrupt you just for a second, just
Yes.
so I can make sure I'm looking at this correct? Where is the access to this property? Everything's so small, I can't tell.
no. The access is, so here's Lake Drive, and the
Right.
access would go here.
Right?
This is Lake Drive. It goes from here to here.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
That concludes staff's presentation.
Oh, all right. That was my only question. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here?
Good morning, staff.
Good morning.
Roger Abreu, 114 Lake Drive, and I have Mr. Steve Michelini to represent me.
All right, thank you, sir. If you could please sign in. Mr. Abreu, if you could please sign in. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Morning, thank you very much. The previous home that was there was significantly damaged by the hurricane. It was flooded, and the flood waters remained on the property for an extended period of time. So Mr. Abreu called FEMA. They came out and did an inspection and determined that he would either have to raise the structure or he would have to demolish it. And after receiving several different bids on what to do regarding raising the structure, he decided to demolish the structure. One of the conditions that FEMA established was to locate any new structure further away from the lake, and also that it should be elevated to meet FEMA requirements. Let me show you briefly what the staff has shown you this already. This is the area of encroachment.
Oh, if you just move with the microphone.
There we go, sorry.
Perfect. That's okay.
This is the area that the staff has determined, and it was also determined by the previous variance to be the front. This is the roadway, and I'm going to show you some details of this so you can get your orientation. The adjacent house actually faces this roadway, but its front is over in this side over here. But I'm going to show you that in more detail in a second. So this is the area that's being requested for the reduction from 25 feet to 11. Well, let me show it that way. This is the roadway here, and it curves. So traditionally, those setbacks are designed to protect view triangles so there's no obstruction, and also that you maintain some alignment with the adjacent structures. And I'm going to show you that how that does that. This is the structure here, and you can see the driveway is curving in this direction. So if it were on the opposite side, on the exterior, what I would call the exterior side of the curve, it would be more of a problem regarding visibility and sight obstructions. You can see it turns, it takes a pretty radical turn as it's going to the east. And there's a better view so you can see how the orientation, and you can also see where the adjacent structures are. They're sort of in alignment with the front yard for what he's requesting.
So obviously, Mr. Michelini, that is the existing home that's going to be demolished?
It's gone.
In those, oh, it is gone, okay.
It's gone, but
All
to comply with the FEMA request that it be moved further away from the lake, that's what's causing part of this request now for the variance, and it's in line with the other structures. This is gone, but with the new construction. And again, you can see it takes a fairly radical curve. There it is. We're looking from the other side, and this is the adjacent property here, and then the request for the variance is over here. So we've gone through explain the hardships. The hardships are not self-created, and the practical difficulties exist because of the unique configuration. This was not a platted subdivision. This was a lot and block description for this property. So there wasn't a history that we normally would have in a subdivision where it would be easily defined on where those property lines existed. So this is the only property in the whole subdivision that sits on a corner like this. The property, it sits back away from the roadway, so it does not create any obstructions that would normally be concerned for development. The variance allowed would not substantially interfere with the rights of others. We have support letters, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the map. I'm not going to show you all the letters, where all of those adjacent property owners are supporting the request. So it does not substantially interfere with the rights of others, and would not, of granting this variance, it would not cause any hardship for anyone else. It is in harmony with the code, the land development and the comprehensive plan, as none of those criteria were designed to create a hardship for an individual property that has this kind of layout and this configuration. The situation would be relieved by the variance. It would allow the reconstruction of a new home, which will be elevated to meet FEMA regulations and move further away from the lake. And substantial justice would be done because it would provide relief for this property owner, which normally could not be provided any other way. And I'll show you the orange is the subject property, And I have letters from all of the red dotted properties supporting this request and recognizing that it is a unique condition. As I said, you have the roadway coming in here, and then it's turning like this. There aren't any other properties in this area that have that condition. Also, this is a dead end here, so there's limited traffic going in except for those several homes that are existing there. I also have a letter from the homeowner explaining all of the steps that he went through and working with the staff, as well as with FEMA, and his request for the variance that, and the hardship that is created for him. So if I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I believe that the staff has been exceptionally helpful in trying to resolve this because of the determination of where the actual front is on this property. And it's tricky to figure out where the side stops and where the front begins because of that curve. But anyway, we respectfully request your favorable consideration, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just one question. I understand the requirement from FEMA to elevate the property per the current plans. But do you have in writing from FEMA that they were requiring the property owner to set back further from the lake?
That was a meeting that the property owner had. He can testify to that. I asked him for, a letter or something from FEMA, and he said they only gave him a verbal report. But if you'd like for him to come up and testify to that, he certainly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your name and address just for
Roger
clarity.
Abreu, 114 Lake Drive. That was basically a suggestion. It wasn't a requirement. He basically saw how large my lot was. He said it would only make sense to move it away from the danger, from the flood waters. And because I had adequate space, it was suggested I do that.
All right, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. All right, Mr. McElhaney, that was the end of my questions, unless you had anything further.
I don't have anything further except for the fact that the staff has been diligent in working through this and finding the old variance that was there that helped to determine how and we should proceed with this process.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in
Thank you.
and submit whatever you'd like into the record. All right, is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one? Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. McElhaney, anything further? All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0917 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H6, variance 250928. The applicant is Hunter Harrison, Ashton Gray Real Estate. The request is a variance to landscaping and buffering requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Chris Grandlenard.
All right. Would you like to do it yourself?
I can go ahead.
Okay.
Yes. The applicant's requesting a variance to LDC section 60604E that requires a 6-foot landscape buffer between the, along the property line of the adjacent property, unless the adjacent property already provides buffer and screening. They're requesting a 6-foot variance to result in a 0-foot landscape buffer to the north property line.
All right. And it looks like that buffer was previously waived for a Chick-fil-A, but due to a change in ownership, they have to ask again. Is that correct?
Yes. So previously, it was both properties had shared ownership, and therefore it wasn't required when it came in as a unified site development. But because of the change in ownership, it's now required.
All right, understood. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Joe Pellerin, Kimley Horn and Associates, 200 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida. I'm also the EOR for the project. And as you mentioned, to preserve the original site circulation and access for the Chick-fil-A parcel to our parcel, this variance is required. Chick-fil-A had built part of this 24-foot drive aisle that abuts our property boundary, and so we are extending that as shown in the originally permitted Chick-fil-A plans. They also have 8 parking spaces that face our site, so the buffer requirements would literally cut off their access to those parking spaces. So we've talked through staff, and they've been helpful as well, and are in support of this variance, but want to make sure that we answer any questions you may have in regards to the variance.
No questions at this time, but thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign in. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? All right, no one. Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it. All right, thank you. Then we'll close variance 25-0928 and go to the next case.
This brings us to section I, special uses. Item I1 was continued on the record. So item I2, special use 250787. The applicant is Academy of Montessori International Incorporated. The request is a special use for a school. Tim Lampkin will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right, remember with special uses, the applicant goes first, so is the applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning, Justina Gale, Forward Planning and Design, 200 Pine Winds Avenue, Oldsmar, Florida. And the proposed request is for special use to approve a private school. The project site is located on 12945 Morris Bridge Road. It is approximately 3.11 acres with a future land use category of residential 6 and a zoning of agricultural single-family AS1. The request is for the approval of a special use to allow for a private school, K through 12, for a maximum planned capacity of 75 students. The property is currently developed as a single-family home, which will be converted into a 5,400 square foot school building, along with the accessory structures for a total of 6,740 square feet. According to the Land Development Code, private and charter schools are permitted uses as a special use within the AS1 zoning district. The proposed school site is also compatible with all the adjacent uses. To the north is zoning of a PD. There's a mobile home park. To the east, there's residential homes and mobile homes. To the south is AS1. It's SwiftMud-owned property. And to the west, there is vacant land and a PD that was recently approved as a soccer facility. The special use site plan shall be limited to a private school K through 12 with a maximum of 75 students. In addition to renovating the existing building for the classrooms, there will be accessory outdoor recreation area, covered tennis courts, clubhouse, restroom, storage for the school, a greenhouse, and parking areas. The maximum height of the tennis court facility will not exceed 37 feet, and the buffering and screening between the uses will be in accordance with the Land Development Code. Morris Bridge Road is designated as an urban scenic roadway and shall be subject to the planning requirements of the Land Development Code. The project will have one full access off of Morris Bridge Road, and it will be in accordance with the Hillsborough Corridor Preservation Plan, and it will preserve a minimum of 55 feet of right-of-way along Morris Bridge Road. There was a traffic study that was submitted in accordance with the Development Review Procedures Manual, and it was reviewed and approved by county staff. The project will not create any transportation deficiencies. Access management, vehicle queuing, and staff placement shall occur consistent with the queuing plan. The county engineer has reviewed and approved the design exception. The developer shall construct improvements to Morris Bridge Road consistent with this design exception which will include installation of a sidewalk on the south side of Morrisbridge Road from the project's western boundary to the eastern boundary of the PD, 23-0422. And with that, we request recommendation of approval with this proposed conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. All right, Development Services. Morning again.
Good morning. Tim Lampkin, Development Services. I'm going to skip to the compatibility section because the applicant did such a thorough job in her presentation, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this special use permit is limited to a private school, K through 12, with a maximum planned capacity of 75 students and accessory structures, which include tennis courts, as shown on the site plan. Surrounding uses include mobile home park directly north of the site, undeveloped property immediately to the east. Overall, there are several mobile homes in proximity, and then there's the Southwest Florida Water Management District lands located to the north, south, and east of the subject site. West of the property is a single-family home, and there's a plus or minus approximately 250 foot further west of the site is the location of, you may recall, it was PD 23-422, and it was for soccer fields. And 4 soccer fields with 10 players per field and limited to 51 parking spaces. Per the conditions of approval for the school, the applicant will be required to provide a sidewalk along Morrisbridge Road from the subject site to the soccer fields. Further west is more Swift Mud District lands. And approximately 2 miles west of the property is Morrisbridge Road and I-75 interchange. Staff also notes that the proposed school is located towards the front of the property, whereas the accessory structures, including the tennis courts, are located to the rear, nearer to the Swift Mud property that won't be developed. The applicant's also proposing a condition to limit the hours of the lighting of the tennis courts from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., which is more restrictive than would normally be permitted per Hillsborough County land development codes, which would be 7:45 a.m. Which would be 8 a.m. To 11 p.m., which at the earliest would be the latest sunrise being at 7:45 a.m. And Morrisbridge is designated as an urban scenic corridor. The applicant will provide tree plantings during site and construction. The subject property also meets the requirements of section 6.06.06 for landscaping and buffering. No changes to those requirements are being proposed by the applicant. And that concludes staff's presentation, unless you had any questions.
Just a quick one that I don't think is on your watch, but because you're standing here, I'll ask you. Transportation included their agency comments, and it talks about when they analyze the trip generation, comparing the existing development potential to the proposed. They used a number of 52 students rather than the 75. Can you provide any explanation for that, and does it substantially change, or is that just an error?
I don't want to speculate on that. My instinct tells me it's a typo, but I believe transportation staff is online if they'd like to answer that.
I don't see anyone unless they're not on the screen I have available.
Let me see.
Because the reason I ask, perhaps it's an error, is in their analysis, under project summary and analysis, it says for a 75-student K through 12 school, but then when you actually go to the table comparing the existing to the approved, they use the number 52.
Okay, let me go to that section.
It's on page 2 of their agency review comments.
Yes, unfortunately, I didn't print that portion out, but I'm looking in there on page 8.
Ms. Marshall, we don't have transportation online, do you think?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, well, I'll just
Perhaps-
flag it as to call it out, but it appears to be an error in their report. I just wanted to clarify.
Perhaps the applicant may speak to that. They may have reached out directly to transportation
Absolutely.
and pointed that
All
out.
right. Mr. Lampkin, does that conclude your presentation?
That does.
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Then, sir, can you clarify that issue and give us your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Jesus Murley. I'm at 12506 Bronco Drive. I'm the civil engineer, not the transportation engineer. But I was hoping that I could perhaps look at the document that you're looking at and maybe try to add some discernment to that. I'm not sure.
It's the transportation analysis. I imagine you're calling your transportation engineer. Okay. So, yes, Ms. Marshall, if you could show him the transportation agency comments.
Well, I was hoping I could look at the actual source document versus the agency comments. Are you looking at the source?
That's what I'm reading from.
Oh.
That's what I'm reading. It's the county's report. Yes, it's the county's report that has the discrepancy in it, not the applicant. Yep.
Justina Gale.
Give us your name, please.
Justina Gale.
Yes.
I'm talking with the transportation engineer, Michael Razor.
Yes.
And he said everything was based on, that he submitted on 75 students. So it must be a typo in the staff
All right,
report.
thank you for that
Thank you.
clarification. I appreciate it. All right, Ms. Marshall, we don't have any additional information. Is that correct, before I move on?
Correct.
All right, thank you. All right, so then at this point, we'll call on the Planning Commission. I believe Ms. Myers is online.
There's no Myers online at the moment?
There was minutes ago. All right, we are striking out today. We need the Planning Commission testimony. Can we contact her? She was online a minute ago, from what I saw over here.
She'd have to get back on the WebEx. I'm not sure where she went.
Okay, well, let's see if we can get a hold of her. Colleen, can we call her? Okay. All right, bear with us, please. We're waiting for the Planning Commission staff person to provide their testimony.
I'm also going to run upstairs. The transportation review planner is in today.
Oh,
So I'm going to see if she has a minute just to.
All right, well,
address
in
that.
light of all of this, then let's just take one more 5-minute break and see if we can clear this up. So let's take a 5-minute break, let's just say 11:05, just to be clear, on special use 25-0787 for the purpose of clarifying the Transportation Commission agency comments and obtaining the testimony from the Planning Commission. We'll be back at 11:05.
Hey, Richard, I see your video. You want to test your audio?
Yes, good morning. This is Richard Perez.
I see you and hear you. Thank you, sir. Sarah Rose. This is HTV. Do you want to test your video and your audio? Sarah Rose, this is Zach with HTV. Do you want to try and test your audio and your video?
Hello? Someone?
I can hear you, Sarah, but I can't see you. It's black. I don't know if you got something over your camera hole.
Shouldn't. I'll try to refresh and come back in.
Okay. All right, I see you.
Sounds good, thank you. Hello, Alexis. This is Zach from Hillsborough Television. Can you hear us? And if so, you want to test your microphone and your video. Hi, Alexis. This is Zach from Hillsborough Television. I see you joined. Do you want to test your video and your audio?
Yes, I'm not sure what happened before. It would be during the time the special uses go on. But hopefully you can hear and see me.
And I hear you. So you're here now. Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Close. Okay, now we're ready. Yep. All right, welcome back. We are back from our break, which we took for special use 25-0787 for the purpose of clarifying the county's transportation comments and also obtaining the testimony from the Planning Commission. So let's do the transportation piece first. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. Just for the record, I'll restate my question, which is the agency comments reference in the narrative 75 students, but the actual trip generation analysis only acknowledges 52 students, and I wondered if that was an error or if there was a change.
Just for the record, Jessica Coal with the transportation team, and that was a typo. The trip generation in that table is accurate for 75 students. The 52 is a typo error.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your coming down. All right, then with that, we will call on the Planning Commission. Good morning.
Good morning, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located in the Residential 6 future land use designation. It is in the rural area and not within the limits of any community plan. According to future land use section policy 4.6.1, residential support uses is an allowable land use in any of the residential, commercial, and industrial land use plan categories. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed special use consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. I appreciate it. This time we'll call for anyone who would like to speak in support, anyone in favor, either in the room or online. Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right, come forward. While he is coming forward, is there anyone else that would like? Is coming from somewhere. All right.
I'm Michael Diaz. I am, I guess, one of the two neighbors that is by this property.
Could you give us your address, Mr. Diaz?
12951 Morse Bridge Road.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
And actually, I have 3 properties, but that's the main address. But on the other side is an elderly woman, and I guess she's already sold to that soccer field they were talking about, and she gets to live there till she passes, so whatever that's called. But anyways, no, I was very shocked to see what they're going to put next to me. I've been there for 31 years. It's very quiet, peaceful. I don't know about you, but when I go home, I like to relax. I don't want a lot of noise or activities. And now I guess they're going to have tennis courts there. They'll be open till 11 p.m. And this is right in a residential neighborhood. Now they're going to turn this into a school. So I'm just voicing my concerns. I'm concerned about the traffic because the roads are already bad, especially on peak times, going to work and coming home. It's hard to get in and out of your driveway. People drive very fast and there's a lot of cars. We're also concerned about, what's this going to do to my value of my property? If there is a school there and I don't want to live next to a school, and I go to sell, is this going to lower my value because it's going to be not as attractive? Or so just concerns like that, it's a very peaceful place. It's quiet when the road's not too busy, and now we're just really concerned about what we're going to have to put up with now. There's nothing but a chain link fence right now separating our two properties, and there is one hedge that goes the length of the fence line. But those are just some of the things, and we didn't know anything that was going to happen. We just heard possible tennis courts. They weren't allowed to put any more new structures or anything, and from the design that I witnessed or just saw, looks like there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and so that concerns me, kind of shocked by it. And also, once they're, if this does get granted and they're able to rezone it, and I know right now they're asking for 75 kids, once they're already in there, can they eventually request more, and this school gets bigger and bigger? I mean, so just I came down here to listen and then voice my concerns. So that's what we're doing, me and my wife. So I don't know, never done this, so I just wanted to say that.
All right, I appreciate you coming down. I will, we'll get your questions clarified. I'll ask them of the applicant when they come back up.
Okay.
All right, if you could sign in with the clerk's office, I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. All right, just to make sure, is there anyone else that would like to testify in opposition? All right, seeing no one, then we'll go back to county staff. Ms. Marshall, anything you'd like to add?
Nothing further.
All right, then we'll go back to the applicant who has 5 minutes for rebuttal. If you give us your name just to start.
Sure. Justina Gale. So the students will be limited to only 75 students. Any additional students would trigger additional turn lanes and everything. And for the size of the structure, the applicant's not interested in the size of the school site to ever expand for more than 75 students. Also, the hours of operation are till 6 p.m. And the tennis courts, there will be no special events or activities. It will just be for training of the existing students that go to that school. And then,
All right.
And we do have, significant buffering and landscaping. So, and if there are any additional questions.
Yes. I'm looking at your proposed zoning conditions, and it says the outdoor play area by the kindergarten shall be limited to the hours between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Are you saying that's 6 p.m. it should be?
I believe 6 p.m. only, yes. Yes,
So
6
you
p.m.
would-
Yeah, because the kindergartners will be everyone will be picked up. by
All
then.
right, so you would be willing, you're amenable to changing condition number 8 from 7 p.m. end time to a 6 p.m.?
6 p.m. for the kindergarten, yes. Yeah.
I'm just,
And there might be for some students, like some practice for the training outside for the tennis, but that's about it, yeah.
well, let's just be
6
clear,
p.m.
because you've had a neighbor that is concerned
6,
about
okay.
that. So this, condition number 8 reads, "The use of any outdoor play area by the kindergarten shall be limited to the hours between 8 a.m. and it currently says 7 p.m., but you've just agreed to 6 p.m.
Yes.
All right. And the tennis court area, let's see, there's a condition number 6, 5, and 6 that talks about the maximum height of the tennis court facility, and it also talks about the lighting. So let's talk about that. It says the tennis court lighting shall be limited to 8 a.m. through 10 p.m.
Yes,
And that's still your request?
yes,
Okay.
I believe so. Correct, yeah.
Okay, all right. And then regarding the gentleman's concern about a future request for more than 75 students, let me just turn back to Ms. Marshall to clarify. If this were approved for a maximum of 75, if they wanted to come back sometime after that and request any additional students, they would have to come back through this public hearing notice process, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so it could not just be done indiscriminately. It would require a public hearing and notice, much like this. All right. Okay, let's see. I think that was my only question. Did you have anything you wanted to add for your rebuttal?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close special use SCH 25-0787 and go to the next case.
Next item is item I3, special use 250789. The applicant is Sonia and David Love. The request is a special use for an accessory kitchen. Sam Ball will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right, is the applicant here?
Good morning. My name is Jamie Tiffany. I'm representing Sonia and David Love.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good morning.
Can you give us your address, please?
Yes. My address is 19508 Shumard Oak Drive, but the address that I'm representing is 18515 Trumpeter Court in Odessa.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I'm representing the homeowners David and Sonia Love. We are requesting special use for an accessory kitchen in the owner's single-family home residence, which is currently under construction. This accessory kitchen is being used as a prep kitchen for private use only by the homeowners. The accessory kitchen is in a room directly off the kitchen and does not have a second entrance. We feel the design of the structure and proposed kitchens would not accommodate the establishment of a second dwelling unit. We are here for any questions that you may have.
No questions at this time, but thank you so much. Development Services.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Sam Ball with Development Services. The applicant is requesting a special use approval to allow for an accessory kitchen for our single-family residence in accordance with LDC Section 611-107. The applicant is not requesting any waivers or variances to the LDC. Staff finds that based on the floor plan of the proposed residential structure and the finding by the building official that the design of the structure and proposed kitchens would not accommodate the establishment of a second dwelling unit, and finds that the proposed accessory kitchen complies with the requirements of 611-107 of the Land Development Code and will not have any adverse impacts on the area or neighboring properties. Staff finds the proposed accessory kitchen approvable subject to conditions. That concludes my presentation.
All right, let me just ask a quick question, just so for my own information, because this is a newer one in terms of cases that I normally see. This prep kitchen behind the main kitchen, normally I would think of like a scullery would be probably in terms of function, how it's used. But the reason they were tagged by the building official is because they have the ability to cook, that there's a range and a stove in there. Is that right?
That's correct. It has everything that met the definition of a kitchen. And since it was separated from the primary kitchen, they consider it a second kitchen.
I see. Okay. And I did see the letter from the building official, so thank you. That was my only question. Appreciate it. All right. We'll go to the Planning Commission.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the Residential 1 Future Land Use category. It is in the rural area and within the limits of the Keystone Odessa Community Plan. The proposal is consistent with Future Land Use Section Objective 1.2 and Policy 1.2.1 on compatibility in the rural area. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed special use consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, no one. Miss Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, we'll go back to the applicant. You have the last word if you'd like it.
I think we're good. I don't have any other questions or a statement.
No, no other questions, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it. With that, we'll close special use AK 25-0789 and go to the next case.
Next item is item I4, special use 250840. The applicant is Olumiwa Adekabe-san. The request is a special use 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be provided by Jared Fallon after presentation by the applicant.
Okay, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Olumiwa Adekabe-san. Home address 10022 Celtic Ash Drive, and that's in Ruskin, Florida. Applying for a special use for alcohol beverage for our restaurant situated in Gibsonton.
All right. So that distance waiver is from residentially zoned property. Have you heard, when you sent out your adjacent property owner notices, did you hear from anyone regarding the application? Nothing. All right. I think that was my only question. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming down. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Thank you. Development Services.
Morning, Jared Fallon with Development Services. This is a request to approve a distance separation waivers for a proposed C2 COP alcoholic beverage permit for the sale of beer and wine on the permitted premises in connection with the restaurant. The wet zoning is sought for a space that is 802 square feet and only includes indoor area. The subject property is located at 11130 US Highway 41 in Gibsonton, Florida, and currently does not meet the distance separation requirements to residentially zoned property and is within more than 3 other approved alcoholic beverage permits. The nearest residentially zoned property is within 111 feet of the subject property and is located to the southeast of the subject wet zoning. The residential property is not directly adjacent to the wet zone area, and additionally, the entrance of the establishment faces away from the residentially zoned property. The site is within 1,000 feet of 8 other approved alcoholic beverage permits. The surrounding area is predominantly commercial, and the property fronts a principal arterial where these types of permits are expected to be located. Additionally, we have found that 2 of the AB permits of the 8 are no longer in use. Based on these facts and findings, Development Services is recommending approval for the permit, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just one quick one. To clarify the requirement of the separation from residentially zoned property, the first page on your staff report says 250, but under the waiver detail says 150.
Yes, it should be 150. It's an error on the first page.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to clarify. All right, that was my only question. Thank you so much. All right, we'll call for now proponents. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right, no one? Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right,
Thank
sir, you have the last word if you'd like it. Anything else you'd like to say? No, thank you. All right, thank you for your time. Then we'll close special use AB 25-0840 and go to the next case.
The next item is item I5, special use 250922. The applicant is Blaze LLC. The request is a special use for COP RX alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be presented by Carolyn Peddle after presentation by the applicant.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hello, my name is Dominic Cianciolo, last call trainer, 918 East McBerry Street, Tampa, Florida. I'm here to do the presentation for Malicious. Actually, the owners are here in the back. Okay, we have Renier and Lillian. Basically, these are food truck owners. They are established food service and foodie providers. So they're going in a brick and mortar here on Hillsborough Avenue. They're going into 7018 West Hillsborough Avenue. West Hillsborough Avenue has a divided highway, and therefore we're finding a variance for the distance waiver of 401 feet away from a church. So what I'd like to show you here is pretty much...
Just move the microphone with you.
Pretty much I'd like to show you here, you have a square footage, the total wet zone square footage there of 28. It does quantify the 2,500 square feet that the county requires for alcohol sign-off. So the address is there, the folio is there. Coming from the staff report, the distance of certain community uses are not comply. There is a 401-foot variance there. You can see the distance from residential zone properties are taken care of. And this is the main graphic that was in the staff report. This is the proposed property. Right here we have 2 physical barriers. You got a median coming down Hillsborough. Secondly, you got a strip plaza. And third, the church, the community use is off Norwalk Avenue here. In Norwalk, all the exit of that church is off of that. So there are 2 physical barriers that are preventing any alcohol impediment or impact to this service in the community. Okay, what I'd like to show here is that the staff report does say that it is approvable at this point in time. Seeing again, alcohol is approvable. I do want to highlight the fact that this is the community folios around the property in yellow is the property. The ones in green, I'd like to submit testimony that I do have stamped receipts that they do vote for this property, be in favor of it. Okay, so the next page, that's what I'm showing here, is that they do have the stamped receipts that they did return. They took time and returned a letter back to us voting that they're in favor of it. Okay, I did submit this with the initial application or the initial mailer to say that I was marketing the people for that. Okay, and then for the hotel and restaurants, I'm giving you the file number for hotel restaurants and the approval stamp on the hotel restaurants as far as the full restaurant, including the patio. The patio is not entailed in that, but it is written in there. And you can see the Hillsborough County approval on the plan for the patio that's been on. This is a continual roof line that actually does cover the inside to the outside patio. So therefore, it is within the guidelines of the state requirement having a continual roof line in order to serve full alcoholic beverages. We are talking about a restaurant use. Just want to thank you for your time for being here. I would like to highlight, as ownership, as business, the hardship of owning a restaurant, owning a restaurant and the cost of product. It has to be supplemented by the income of some alcohol purchases, and it is helpful for the high rent on Hillsborough Avenue. And last but not least, I would like to submit actually 435 signatures of people and county voters that actually are in favor of this concept. So I'd like to submit that for the record as well.
All right.
So is there any questions?
Just one question. The letter that you said was in support, and that is from the property owner of the church property?
It's not, the church property did not respond. These are from the local businesses that are within the community there.
Okay, so did you hear at all from the church when you sent out the adjacent property owner notice?
Did not get any notification from them. I did approach the church twice, and the church was closed at times during business hours that I did approach them.
Okay.
So I did make a valid attempt 2 other times on top of the mail-in.
All right, thank you. That was my only question. I appreciate it. When you sign in, you can submit all your documents into the record.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Carolyn Peddle, Development Services. Again, this is SUAB 250922. The applicant is requesting a 4-COP-RX special use alcoholic beverage permit with a distance separation due to the proposed wet zone area being within the distance requirement for community use. Per LDC Section 61111D4A, in regards to a 4-COP-RX, the distance from the proposed structure to certain community uses shall be 500 feet. Per their wet zone survey, they had it at a distance of 401 feet. Per LDC Section, no problem. Section 61111E3 provides for approval of separation waivers where there are special or unique circumstances where the alcohol beverage use applied for does not have significant impact on surrounding land uses and certain circumstances negate the necessity for special distance requirements. The proposed wet zoning is located on the south side of West Hillsborough Avenue, east of Hanley Road, and the subject restaurant is separated from the community use by West Hillsborough Avenue and a strip center with adjoining parking lot along the frontage. The roadway is 6 lanes wide with 2 additional turn lanes. For these reasons, staff finds the proposed wet zoning approvable and does not propose significant impact on the surrounding land use.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right, no one. Ms. Marshall, anybody? Anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir. Anything else before I close?
Yes, I did fail to submit the neighborhood association that's right behind the community. It says, speaking on behalf of myself as a board member and as a resident, I don't mind alcohol beverage being sold anywhere at any time. Believe that all the surrounding businesses have some kind of variance. So this is coming from actually Scott Gunlis. He is the neighborhood person that communicates with the county. The county did not have a mail-in on there, and Ms. Carmen told me I did not have to mail him, but I did reach out to him specifically, and this was his valid email response, so I'd like to put this in his affidavit as well.
Absolutely. You
Thank
can
you.
submit it into the record. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Does that conclude your comments?
And that concludes my comments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 25-0922 and go to the last case.
Last item is item I6, special use 250926. The applicant is Winthrop Town Builders LLC. The request is a special use 2 COPX alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be presented by James Baker after presentation by the applicant.
All right, is the applicant here?
Good morning. Isabel Albert with HAP 1000 North Ashley Drive. I'm here representing the applicant. This is a very simple application. It's for a 2 COPX for the Winthrop community. It is currently right now a pole barn, and we had to go through a PRS to allow this use, which is for a golf indoor golf simulator. And we did get our PRS approved, and so now the last step is to request a waiver, distance waiver to residential use and a daycare. There is a daycare located to the southwest of the property. Walking distance is more than 500 feet. We need a distance of 500 feet, but we are less than that, and which is in the staff report. And we're also requesting a distance waiver of 250 feet to residential use. As you are aware, Winthrop Plan Development is a mixed-use development where you have residential and commercial uses adjacent to each other, and therefore the site plan allows for residential use within 20 feet from the subject site. And so it's approved currently with some single-family and multifamily, which are not developed, but it's also approved for live-work units, which are located to the northeast and northwest. Now, the site itself is the pole barn that's there, and it's going to be converted again for an indoor golf simulator. And we did not receive any letters of support or opposition. We have not heard from anybody, and staff does find this approvable, and I'm here if you have any questions.
No, my only question would have been, did you hear from anyone? But you just answered that, so I appreciate it.
I did not.
Thank you. All right, Development Services.
I'm going to skip to the variance section, if that's okay.
Mr. Baker, could you pull that microphone over? There you
I'm
go.
going to skip to the variance section, if that's okay.
It is, if you give us your name just for the record.
James Baker,
you,
Development
sir.
Services.
Appreciate it.
Okay, they requested a distance variance, separation waiver for 2 different items. One is the community use, and others for the distance to residential property. The community usage is the daycare, which is located more than 390 feet away from the subject parcel. The amount of distance separation is more than sufficient to prevent any negative impacts to daycare facility use. In comparison, the wet zone survey shows 2 other AB permits, Donovan's Eatery and Cali, each located at 319 and 322 feet north of the daycare. Although the daycare is 391.1 feet away, if measured in a direct line, the walking distance from the subject building to the daycare is greater than 500 feet. The walking route measures just under 590 feet. The distance provided as well as the associated proposed use negates the need for the specified distance requirement. In terms of the residential properties in question, there are multiple live-work units within the specified distance, but the reduction will be to the smallest distance separation. In this case, it would be 250 feet minus 230 feet waiver distance, resulting in 20 feet separation. The distance waiver request is to residential zone property within the same PD as the subject parcel. The PD allows for residential uses to be developed within 20 to 24 feet to the east, west, and south of the subject property. In terms of the surrounding area, the planned development is located on the south side of Bloomingdale Avenue, approximately 1,000 feet southwest of the intersection of Bloomingdale Avenue and Watson Road. The general area is developed with residential and non-residential uses in a suburban development pattern. Unlike the surrounding area, the subject mixed-use PD is developed with T&D, which is traditional neighborhood development standards to promote an urban, walkable development form. So essentially, the staff found that comparable to residents currently within residential zone areas shown in the wet zone survey, the proposed golf simulation facility is a residentially compatible use that provides recreation for the community without any significant disturbance to surrounding residents. Indoor golf simulators are increasingly a common feature within apartment complex amenity centers to allow users to purchase and consume either beer or wine while using the proposed establishment is an integral part of the experience. The subject PD was specifically designed to be a mixed-use development allowing for residential commercial uses within the PD. And once again, the walking distance to the existing daycare facility is greater than 500 feet. And staff recommended approval with proposed conditions.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right. No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right. We'll go back to the applicant, Ms. Albert. Anything further?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Then we will close special use AB 25-0926 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.